In Chicago, you know that all sports rock. The Bears, Hawks, Bulls, Cubs, and Sox. Pick your favorite, you can choose. As long as the Packers lose. For everything you need to know, it's Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. This is your hosts, Alex and Sean. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the wild Chicago Bears comeback victory. We're going to be talking about the Blackhawks starting to figure it out, the Bulls' hot start, and fan favorite Cubs player possibly leaving, and more. But first, I'd like to thank sponsor, the Rockford Ice Hogs. If you're not familiar with the Rockford Ice Hogs, they're the AHL minor league affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks. What does that mean for you? You get to see the stars of tomorrow today at family-friendly, affordable prices. This season is going on right now, so make sure you head on over to icehogs.com, get yourself a hat, shirt, jersey, tickets, and more. Tell them Swerski Sports sent you. Alex, my friend, how are you doing today?
Still kind of processing that the Bears won that game. Yeah, we can look back at some of the other crazy wins, whether it was last week against the Bengals, the blocked field goal against the Raiders. But boy, this was one where you felt like for 80-90% of this game that you didn't deserve to win shit. And you looked dead in the water, and then the 2025 Bears happened. And that's actually good context for once. Because you know what? I'm going to say it again. If we would have played this scenario out in years past, we'd be on the other side. We'd be the team with the 10-point lead that blows it late. We'd be the team that could have put the game away, but decided to play not to lose instead of to win. And that's exactly what happened today. And there's a lot of things the Bears did at the end. I think the biggest story is no doubt Caleb Williams. But, the Bears took advantage of a Giants team that really did blow this one.
I mean, the Giants totally did blow it, but part of it wasn't their fault. The Jackson Dart injury just crippled them. Russell Wilson he should not be in the NFL. He was atrocious when he was in.
Oh yeah, he's washed. He is washeder than washed.
I'm not even exaggerating you that I guarantee I could go find somebody that's on the street that can come in and perform better than Russell Wilson. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not like trying to hyperbole. He's so bad. He does not belong on an NFL roster.
And there was one point where this was the guy you would want in a game-winning drive situation. That's not the case anymore.
All I could think about after that game was thank the football gods that Ryan Pace did not trade all of those first round picks to get Russell Wilson.
Oh God, yeah. There was a time I wanted it. Yeah, I know it was very close. And there was a time I was hoping to do that. Good Lord. I mean, remember how awful that contract ended up being in Denver?
Mm-hmm. Denver crippled their team to walk away from that deal.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was so bad. And I think you and I could both see it on the field that even with Russell Wilson coming in, even a guy who's been in that situation more times than you can count, it was clearly a different game at that point because Jackson Dart, who I got to give a lot of credit, I think the Giants have one there. I think that's a dude. He's got something. But it wasn't just his arm. He was running all over the Bears. Absolutely running all over. Russell Wilson, as soon as that pressure came in the pocket, he was a Jenga tower. He just collapsed.
Yeah, or just throw wildly to nowhere. It was once Jackson Dart went out and Russell Wilson came in. as a Giants fan, they were probably like, please just hang on, please just hang on, please just hang on. And I think as Bears fans, we went, oh man, is there enough time? Is there enough time? Because they were not going to do anything on offense.
Well,
Russell will,
yeah.
for the Giants' sake, I hope, I hope that Jackson Dart, is able to play next week because they're a night and day different team with him and without him.
Yeah, and I mean, that injury came on a pretty big play because it was that strip fumble. I don't remember
Yeah.
who took the ball away. They stripped it
CJ,
away.
CJ, GJ.
It was the guy with the game ball, CJ Gardner Johnson, who had what, two blitz sacks and then that fumble. That's where it changed because they were driving deep into your territory again. They were looking to put you away at that point. And like I said before, he wasn't only beating you with the arm, he was beating you with the legs, and that was a run play. He had a huge, huge gain if he doesn't fumble that ball. And then he fumbled the ball, and that's really when things started to turn for the worse for the Giants. But remember when I mentioned at the beginning of this show playing not to lose?
Yeah.
What were they thinking when they had 4th and inches and they declined the penalty? A stupid Bears penalty that could have ultimately cost you any chance of a comeback. And they're just like, nah, we'll just take the points. That is playing not to lose. That is
Oh,
not
yeah,
playing to
absolutely.
win.
That was a Flus move.
Yes. Yes. And the John
And
Fox move.
yeah, and if Brian Dable gets fired at the end of this season, uh, it'll be things like that because he's not a bad coach. Like he's not. He has just had a shit roster with no quarterback this whole time, and he's got one now, and it's when he is on the last strings of his job security. And then, on top of that is they lose their number one wide receiver, their number one running back, and then their quarterback goes out. It's like just shitty luck. But, you know, the Bears, the Bears this game did not deserve to win.
No, I mean, where do you start? Can we talk about the play calling first? Because I think this was probably the most sus play calling we've seen from Ben Johnson this year.
Can we put an I 100% agree with you, but I want to put an asterisk on there because I don't think it was just the play calling. I think it was the personnel as well.
I totally agree. I totally agree there. I'm assuming you want to allude to Olamide Zaccheaus today.
Um, yes, but and that is not the prime suspect. It is DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift, like, there were things he did really well in this game, and
Hmm.
like there's a reason he should not be cut and that he has value. But s- especially when you have like a third and short and you're trying to like a third and two, he should not be in there. He should not be. The only time he broke I'm sorry, he broke, I think, two tackles, but one was the Giants player tackled the guy that was about to tackle him and led to a big run. And then the other one is he had a full head of steam and was already 10 yards down the field. Um, he just, he's just not powerful enough to break a tackle at the line of scrimmage. And you have Kyle Monungai, who was just a beast last week. Like, put him in on those short runs. He's not going to go down right at the line of scrimmage. He's just
For as
not.
hyped up as he was last week, and for what a big deal it was that the Giants have like one of the worst run defenses, I just, the first half even, I was surprised how pass heavy it was at times. I was also really surprised, to your point, how much you were using DeAndre Swift. Again, I get it, he's still your first running back. I'm not saying I'm surprised that he got more snaps than Kyle Monangai, but I was surprised at the ratio of it
Hmm.
because there were times where, to your point, I'm like, this would be an ideal spot for Monangai. I also thought there were some wasted downs where
Absolutely.
you kind of just gave Swift the ball up the middle and maybe gained a yard or two, or you didn't gain anything. And I'm like, that feels like a waste. And going back to what I said in previous shows about the red zone play calling, you had, and again, I know a high snap on an RPO was part of this reason, but do you remember the drive where they were trying to get back into the game initially? It was after the fumble that they recovered and they settled for a field goal. You got deep, I think they were inside the 10, and you didn't roll Caleb Williams out. You didn't get him out. And you ended it with a goal line fade, which almost never works. And it was just, I'm like, I don't love the play calling here. We saw what happened on the game-winning touchdown. He got out and he ran for it, and Caleb was able to really make some things happen with his legs today. So I still don't understand some of the play calling in that area. I mean, I love what Ben Johnson has done overall, but there was some head scratching play calling today, especially.
Yeah, the run personnel ratio, number of carries between Swift and Monangai was, as you said, it was a little head scratcher. Um, but if you look deeper at the Giants' inability to stop the run, it's not between the tackles. They're not bad in between the tackles because they got a stud defensive line. It is the outside runs that they are just getting gashed on.
Right.
And that if you were like, oh yeah, we're gonna be run happy with outside runs, um, and then okay, if DeAndre Swift gets more carries, understand that makes sense. But you
They
didn't.
weren't.
You were trying to run between the tackles, and if that's the case, and I'm fine with trying to run between the tackles, but use the best back you have to do that.
Yeah, like I said, wasted downs. I thought some of those between the tackle runs with Swift were absolute wasted downs. So that was a little head scratching. And I want to bring back Olamide Zaccheaus. How many drops did he have today?
I don't know official, but because what was officially documented didn't align with what my personal count was. And I had the Bears having 5 drops in the first half. And I considered a drop as if it might not have been, the most accurate throw, might have been on the run. You might have had to make a really nice catch, but if it hit you in both hands, you should have caught it. And I had 5 drops in the first half. But officially, the Bears, I think they had 6 or 7 total drops that by Pro Football Focus. The Bears had the most single game drops in a game this NFL season so far.
Wow. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm really not. Because there were some that were real doozies. And then there were some where you're like, it's not an easy catch, but it's one you would expect, an NFL player to make. I mean, look early on. And this is what was baffling to me too, on a number of reasons. The first half, really heavy with Olamide Zaccheaus. You didn't really hook up with Colson Loveland. I don't think you hooked up with Colson Loveland until the second half. And I was saying, where was Luther Burden? He's healthy, isn't he? And then look
Yes.
what happened towards the end. Look what
Yep.
happened when you used Colson Loveland and Luther Burden. That's what helped to win you the game.
You know, Caleb Williams and Zacchaeus had a little bit of chemistry coming into the regular season from training camp. And I'm like, okay, you know what?
Which
New
is
system,
fine, but
new system, and young quarterback. Like, all right, give him a security blanket. I'm okay with that. But at this point, that rapport is not there. Zacchaeus isn't a good enough wide receiver to be taking these snaps. Luther Burden is your future. Get him out there. Give yourself your best weapons. He's a he's better receiver, like just absolutely just catching the ball, better hands, I should have said. And he's a better route runner, and he's more dynamic when he gets the ball. Like there's no reason at this point. Like early on, you could say, all right, maybe he didn't know the offense well enough, and that might be the case. Who knows? Maybe he doesn't have the full grasp of the playbook like a more veteran wide receiver, but like ability wise, he should be out there over Zacchaeus. Just period.
Hmm. Right. And I'm with you on how I was cool with it when they had the rapport. I like the Olamide Zacchaeus pickup, and we saw him do some things, but man, he's had some big drops. I mean, remember the one against Washington late that could
Yeah.
have been costly? It's just really, really frustrating because you see the yards after the catch the guy could get, but I mean, today you saw multiple drops, including a dart into the end zone. I mean, there were two big throws in the end zone that Caleb made. The first one on the run, just that laser he threw to DJ Moore that he didn't quite haul in. He was out of bounds. And then the one with Zacchaeus, too. I mean, that was another great play and another great throw. And that should have been a touchdown, and it wasn't. So it was just really frustrating seeing a lot of those drops today because Caleb Williams' final line should look a lot better than it is. I mean, hey, he still had 220 passing yards. He used his legs really well. He was amazing today at escaping pressure.
Yes.
Amazing. It's just it could have
Absolutely.
been even better if it weren't
Is
for the drops.
I I know this might be a little premature, and I'm gonna do this beforehand, but I think Caleb Williams is a dude.
Well,
I think we're at that point where we can say he's a dude.
I mean, today I thought was one of his better games. I really do.
Yeah.
And
Um,
again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. When the Bears got the touchdown to make it 20-17, I was still weary because I wasn't sure if the defense was going to get a stop. They did. And when the Bears got the ball back and got it in a very good spot, thanks to some awful special teams by the Giants, I had the confidence that they were going to score. My only thought was, are they going to score too quickly? Luckily, that didn't matter because they did kind of score too quickly. But I sat there when they got that ball back thinking, I have confidence Caleb Williams can do it. Just like last year, or last week, I should say, when they were down with a minute to go, I'm like, I think Caleb could at least put them in field goal range. And Caleb gave him another game-winning touchdown drive.
yeah, I mean the dude is putting the ball in play down the field, and he throws balls that, are in these tight windows, and the only knocks you can have on him are he doesn't he's not quick enough to realize when a play's dead and to just dump it off to his safety valve. And there was one today where I think it was Swift. Um, it was an incomplete pass, but there was a free runner coming in, and he should have recognized the free rusher and just dumped it off right away. He would have been able to probably only picked up 4 or 5 yards, but it's better than an incomplete pass. Um, and those are things he's getting better at, but he just, you know, uh, doesn't always have to try to extend the play. The other one is just being more accurate. And I
Hmm.
think that's just as the game slows down, the guy's got the arm talent. We've seen the accuracy in college and other, along the way. It's he's got the ability. It's just I think the game's just got to still slow down a little more, but I think he's a dude. He's just, as Ben Johnson said in the locker room speech, ice water in his veins.
Yeah, he didn't panic. He didn't, collapse when we saw the go and get tough again in the game. And I think too, when I watch Caleb Williams, one thing that I notice is, and I think everybody notices this, is that he's at his best prior to the fourth quarter. Early in the game, he's at his best when he could get into a rhythm. And some of his rougher starts to some of these games it's because he can't get into a rhythm. Like that was how I felt during the Saints game. Things were a little off. They weren't in sync. He couldn't get to a rhythm, so there was a lot of struggles there. Now, luckily, you were running the ball all over the place, so you were able to win that game. But today, even, first play of the game, he hooks up with a nice pass. And they're moving downfield, and you're thinking, okay, look at this go. But then the second something goes wrong, and I'm glad Ben Johnson saw it and didn't do it. Remember that moving screen that he tried to throw that almost got picked off?
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things that I think can derail him a little bit that you want to see that improve going forward is when that rhythm is broken and things can get a little messy. Let me just say, thank goodness that they did not keep trying that like they went away from that screen. And I know that we've made screens work with Ben Johnson's offense, but the way that they were snuffing that out, I'm glad they didn't mess around with that because there are times where I think Caleb needs to be much better on those screens because they read them like books. And I'm glad they moved away from that in this game.
Yeah, but you know what he's getting really good at? The
Hmm.
play action pass.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, you don't know if you cannot tell if he's handing the ball off, he's going to do if it's going to be a play action pass or if it's going to be a naked boot. Like you don't know. It's just you can't tell. And that's very I hate the guy, but it's very prime Aaron Rodgers-ish.
Hmm. Wasn't the second throw of the game a play action pass? It was that second pass that he made down the middle.
It's really good. And Ben Johnson talked about Caleb Williams and said that he he it has the ability to, escape plays and it makes it so he doesn't have to be perfect in his play calling. And Ben Johnson has not been perfect. Like we're seeing, I'm not shitting because the Bears offense is the greatest offense we've ever seen in our lifetimes.
You disrespecting
With
Mark Trestman in 2013, boy?
Mark Trestman had it was, but it was a facade because we saw what happened the next year.
Well, yeah. It also helped too in 2013 when Alshon Jeffrey was like making catches on his head.
Yeah. And the 85 team had a pretty good offense. Uh, but this is the best offense that we've seen in our lifetimes with the Chicago Bears. And they're up and it's not a fluke. Like they're not I mean, that offense has a lot of room to grow and they're statistically at the tops of everything. Rushing yards per attempt, um, yards per game, points. They're the only team, and they was dangerously close to breaking that. They're the only team to score at least 21 points in every single game this season. The only team.
Yeah, yeah. That's all stuff we're not used to as Bears fans. And doesn't it say something too that going back to what you were talking about with play action, when you're able to establish a run and you know that you're a threat as a run, they didn't run right off the bat today, obviously, but coming in, you had a team that really struggled stopping the run, and you had a team that's been running very efficiently. The fact that you have become so good at that and teams know that you can run the ball, doesn't that make your execution on play action better?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So it's great to see.
yeah, I love what the Bears are doing. And one thing that I don't think I've focused on enough, the Bears had so few penalties this game.
They did. They did. Was that like the fewest we've been penalized?
I think what, three penalties? And one of them was such cheap ass dog shit.
You're talking about the roughing the passer, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
what are you supposed to do there?
I mean, the player was spun. He reached out with his hands first, and it was face mask to face mask. Like, like it was, and it wasn't even that hard of a shot. Like, it was the cheap shit. I was praying that they did the right thing and huddled and went, no, we're not going to call that.
Well, and that wasn't that a pretty late flag too? Didn't that come out like 10
It was a
seconds
late flag,
after?
and they did huddle, or that I think they must have. They cut, they come went closer to the screen, but it before they actually made the announcement even. So there was the flag came out late. The announcement took a while. They must have been discussing it, and I do want to say that I know Greg Olson was like, oh, it's not a penalty when that guy kneed Caleb Williams in the back of the head after he slid. Is You cannot make contact with the quarterback's head. He did. I don't care that he was trying to jump over. It's that should have been a flag too. Olin Kreutz agreed. Olin Kreutz think it was deliberate too, but that should have been a flag as well. Caleb does not get
Yeah,
the
that
respect.
was.
He
Well,
does
I
not get the
mean,
respect.
and it's like, listen, you could talk about intent all you want or quote accident or not. You and I both darn well know that there are other quarterbacks in this league that would get that call.
Oh, absolutely,
If
absolutely.
that's Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson,
Yeah, they're
or
getting.
yeah, they're getting it.
Yep. Um. So, and especially, depending on the team, like if the Eagles did it, all right, they might not call it. But the Giants, yeah, they should be calling that. They should be throwing that flag. That was frustrating. Let's see. Offensive line, I thought played well. Gave up 0 sacks.
Which is in part due to Caleb Williams' escapability. But yeah, I mean, did you see what Darnell Wright did late in the game?
Darnell Wright was always fine since he came back from that injury, has been just a juggernaut.
Hmm.
Like, is that like arm brace? Is that like bionic? Because he is just mauling people.
I mean, he's looking like an all-pro right now. And
He,
he's doing it against some elite players.
I'm gonna say this. He is playing Panay Sewell level.
Is that the Ben Johnson effect?
Um, maybe, but I think Darnell Wright was the right choice. And
Yes.
and I know though people clown it when they see the guy from the Eagles play well. Darnell Wright was the right call. He's a
Yeah, he's
good
not
teammate.
spitting on people.
Good teammate, a good citizen, and a damn good player. And the pick that you got an extra fourth rounder was Jervon Dexter,
Yeah, that's true.
who who is a pretty darn good defensive tackle himself. So you got an elite offensive tackle, which you needed desperately, and you got because the going in, you're like they desperately needed defensive lineman and they desperately need an offensive tackle, and you got the offensive tackle and the defensive tackle with that, by trading the one spot back, and now your right tackle is elite, and you've got a pretty darn good defensive tackle. The Bears, the Bears, I won't say somebody won that trade because I think they both got what they wanted,
Hmm.
but the Bears definitely got everything that they wanted out of that trade and then some.
Yeah, they came out really well. Really, really well with that. I mean, every week, every week, you don't really hear his name when you're actively watching, which is a good thing. Because usually when you don't hear a lineman's name, and an offensive lineman for that matter, usually means they're playing well. And then you go back and you watch highlights or somebody posts something, you're like, oh wow, look at Darnell Wright. Look at that block that he put out there. Like vicious. It
And
just, oh, it's so good to see.
and I want to talk about Theo Benedette. Theo Benedette was going against Brian Burns, who's leading the NFL in sacks. Gave up 0 sacks.
Hmm.
Did he get help? Yes, he got some help. Did he give up pressures? Absolutely. Did any of them amount to sacks? No, didn't. And and even if you go back and watch, did Benedette ever give up after he gave up pressure? No, because if when Caleb would spin out, Theo Benedette was back there giving a second block. And He just didn't give up. I don't know if Theo Benedict is the left tackle answer, but he is playing better than we could have asked for from Braxton Jones.
Correct.
I think
Correct.
I think Theo Benedict is playing like we hoped Braxton Jones would.
Yes. With maybe a little more athleticism. Because, like, I'm impressed. You know, what was one of my favorite plays from last week's game against the Bengals? Do you remember early on one of those many Kyle Monangai runs? Remember watching him out there as that lead blocker where he gets way ahead of the play and he is just shoving that guy out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's impressive.
Is it as impressive as the one-handed cartwheel?
Debatable.
I I missed that cartwheel on the first watch, the first 10 watches, and then somebody pointed it out. And I'm like, Darnell Wright just did a one-handed cartwheel while he was running down the field.
Yeah, I saw that too. Again, I didn't like you. I didn't see it right away. I saw it when somebody showed like the overhead angle, not like the television angle. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, loved it. But I thought the offensive line, I mean, that defensive line for the Giants is really good.
Hmm.
They've got some stud players on that line. And I mean, they've got uh the number one pick from a couple years ago or 2 years ago. Um, Abdul Carter. They've got Brian Burns. They've got studs on that line. And the Bears, I mean, they got their pressures, but the they didn't it didn't alter the way the Bears played for the most part.
Caleb gets sacked 6 or 7 times last year against that.
Yes, absolutely.
And then both on the line last year and Caleb last year.
Yeah. Um, so I was happy with the offensive line. Um, let's see what else. The wide receivers, I was frustrated with most of them. Roma Dunze, he's gotta be more consistent catching the ball. And there
Yep.
was one where, yeah, it still would have been a good catch, but if it hits you in both hands, you've got to catch it. Got it. Like if you were the number 9 pick of the NFL draft, you can't get outplayed by a guy from the Giants that makes a spectacular one-handed catch. You
That
can't
was
get
insane.
yeah, like the how many weeks in a row are we going to have the catch of the week be against the Bears?
Well, and that's what makes it so frustrating too, is you saw all these drops and then you see Slate make that catch, and next thing you know, they tie the game when you feel like you should have controlled it early. And it's like, man, why don't we make catches like that
That
as
one
much?
that one-handed catch was the turning point of the game in the Giants' favor
Right,
because they were
right.
not doing much. And I mean, you look at it, the Bears dominated that first quarter.
They did offensively and defensively. They should have come away with more points, but I mean, you watch what they did on the defensive side. They weren't letting the run go anywhere. In fact, they were shoving the run plays backwards. And then they were able to get a little bit of pressure on Jackson Dart, and they had to force him to like act really quickly. And to Jackson Dart's credit, he does get the ball out pretty quickly, but you were being very, very aggressive early on in the game. And like you said, that completion really kind of flips the flow of the game for a while.
And the game plan it started being in the Giants' favor and working when they made that pass, but when it really became unstoppable for the Bears when Jackson Dart uh started running. When he
Yep.
started using his legs, that he was just dicing up the Bears. And I'll be honest with you, is it wasn't luck that he got injured for the Bears and we got Russell Wilson. It was live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
If
Right.
you can't keep running your quarterback and not risk injury.
Which is why I think you can justifiably so, even if it's not all his fault, look at Brian Dable and say, here's another strike that can get you fired right there.
Yeah.
Because even if
Um,
it's not all his fault, even if, you've had a lot of injuries and your personnel over the past years has just not been good. And the initial quarterback you put in there was an absolute pudwhack, a washed up pudwhack, I should add. There are things like that where you look at, I mentioned earlier, the field goal and not going for it on 4th and inches and then getting the quarterback hurt. And I think you can argue too that Jackson Dart has developed very nicely under Brian Daboll because I think Brian Daboll is a fantastic offensive mind and he does a great job with the quarterback. We saw it with Josh Allen in Buffalo. You're potentially seeing it with Jackson Dart, but uh, you're what? You're 2-8 now. You've lost 11 straight, and you potentially got him hurt, which has already cost you this game. And we'll see what happens down the road, but even if it's not all his fault, someone's got to take a fall, whether it's always justified or not. And I think that's just another tick on the box to justify letting him go.
Um, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I just you better have a plan on who you'd want to replace him, though.
It's almost like you wish you could demote him just for him to coach Jackson Dart. But I was thinking earlier today, and at first I'm like, oh, they got to fire him now. Like, you can't lose that game. But do you want him around for the offense for the rest of the year and then you move on? I don't really know. Because, like you said, who are you going to replace him with? Obviously, you'd have an interim head coach for the rest of the year, and you're trying to develop a quarterback, and that quarterback has been the brightest spot of your team. It's not necessarily like last year. It is and it isn't, because like Eberflus, you lost a lot of games you should win. Like the Eberflus era, you had some injuries and some personnel issue in certain places. The difference is the Eberflus staff was hurting Caleb, actively slowing down his development. Now, despite the decision to keep running in the live by the sword, die by the sword that you just alluded to, you could probably argue that Jackson Dart is doing some good things with the help of Brian Daboll's coaching. That's where the difference between him and Eberflus with the Bears last year is.
Yeah, last year, there was an absolute detriment to your future franchise quarterback. Brian Daboll is not a detriment to, I mean, sure, should he have made, be running Jackson Dart, but I think he's trying to win games. Um, it's a much different scenario than when what's his name in Dan Quinn was having uh Jaden Daniels out there in a game that just was over.
He should be
And
fined for that.
like that guy's not going to last, I don't think. That team is in shambles.
Yeah, the roster is really, really old. I remember this past offseason, they were bringing in all these guys. Oh, here's a big name. Here's a big name. Here's a big name. Yeah, they're all old. They're all old and they're washed up. And you're running a college offense for the second year in a row, and you're trying to use a guy who's not really very big. I don't know. I don't know. So we'll see how that all goes. I mean, if I'm Washington, you're hearing the reports on how the arm injury wasn't as bad. He could possibly. I wouldn't even bring him back this year. You're not going anywhere this year.
No, no. I mean, the you know, it's one thing if you're Baltimore and uh you lost a bunch of games that were really close. And your offense looked good. Like, all right, you feel differently, and they're playing differently. They're on a roll, but the the Commanders just don't look good, and they're on a downslide. And now you're more than halfway through the season, um, and you look at the NFC standings, and the Commanders are 3-7. So you're not winning that division.
No.
Um, I mean, could you get second in that division? Maybe. Like The Giants aren't very good. The Cowboys aren't very good. But the Eagles are, really good. So you're not catching them. And you're already, you know, uh, depending on the outcome of tomorrow's game, because we're recording this Sunday, so we don't know what Monday Night Football is going to have, but you could be 4 games behind them halfway through the season. You're not
Right.
catching them. Uh,
Right.
and then you look at wild card standings, and you're 3 games behind, 3+ games, 3 games in the tiebreaker behind the Bears. Um, you're behind. So in the wild card, you're behind the Cowboys, the Lions, the Bears, the Vikings, the Panthers, uh, the Falcons, the Rams or Seahawks, whoever doesn't win that division, the 49ers and the Cardinals. So yeah, I agree with you. Like you are so far out of it. It's silly.
Right. So, and then, they played the Lions today where they just got absolutely boat raced. And it's like, okay. I mean, I still can't believe that he was still in that game last week.
And again, I don't want to shit on him because I think he's a really talented guy. I think he's a good kid. I wish him well, but that was my concern when he was coming out. Was not his talent, was not his ability to play at the NFL level. It was his body is not like an NFL frame. I worry about injuries, and they've been different injuries than I expected, but they're not good injuries. And I know this one didn't end up being as bad as they thought, but it's also not good either.
No, no.
So I just genuinely worried about him.
I know, me
Um,
too, because that could be one more bad injury away. Uh, Look at RG3.
what's wild is it was against the same team, uh, and like the same, like so many similarities of the injury that happened. In fact, a player on the opposing team was on the field when it happened to both players.
That's spooky. That's
Uh,
really spooky.
yeah, it was on the same part of the field. It was this against the same team, the same quarter, the same time, and there was a player that was on the field at the same time. So
That
this is,
is that is
yeah,
spooky.
that's one of those like your team is cursed type things.
Yeah, that's disturbing. That's really, really spooky.
But bringing it back to the Bears, I was disappointed in the wide receivers today. Uh, DJ Moore had drops. Um, Rome Odunze had drops. Zacchaeus had drops. DeAndre Swift had drops. Not a wide receiver, but um,
Monanga had a bad one too.
yeah, Monunga had a bad one too. There was just too many drops, and I know some of them weren't perfect throws, and some of them might have been thrown too hard for the weather conditions. But when that wind is howling, like yeah, sometimes you got to put a little juice on it.
Yeah, put some sticky tack.
Yeah, you got them fancy gloves with the sticky on them. Catch it.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I think today the biggest downfall for that offense was drops, and I just awkward play calling. Ben Johnson
Hmm.
never got in a rhythm.
No, no, he didn't. He didn't. I thought that one of the weirdest things outside of some of the play calling in the red zone, uh, I mentioned before how you didn't really get your rookies going early, right?
Hmm.
What I thought was a little frustrating was there were some third and fourth down conversions you didn't get, and you didn't use your tight ends for size advantage when you could have in a matchup. And we saw before in previous years, and we saw it again in this game, we saw several throws not beyond the sticks, and it caused turnovers on downs. Because remember the one Swift drop? Even if he catches that, I still think he's short. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because the announcer said that, oh, that would have been a first down. And I was like, I don't know
I
if
don't
I
think
don't,
so.
yeah, I was, um, like I got a text message right when that happened and I looked at my phone and when I looked up, without rewinding, I was like, I don't know if he would have been, not sure about that one. I mean, still catch the ball, but, uh,
It wasn't a good drop, but I still think they stop him short because we did see him bounce off on a run on a conversion, but he was he was doing that thing where he was accelerating. This is where Swift had to come to the ball, catch it, and then turn. I don't think he'd have momentum or the right angle to get enough yards there. I could be wrong, but that's how I felt. And that's where I was trying to say, why aren't we using our tight ends to size up or outstrength other people in those situations? I thought there was an opportunity for that.
and I harp on this every week. We need to be better with our receivers when Caleb Williams escapes and is rolling right or left because he's trying to make these throws and like sure are they pinpoint? No, but are they catchable? Yes. And they're not making these catches. Got to make those catches or come back to a place where the throw is easier to make. It's just something's got to change. And if he scrambles, like you build that into your offense where like, oh, play breakdown. Somebody go deep to see if they can break contain. Because then you don't need an accurate throw if they're wide open. And we saw this. We saw this for years in with Green Bay. Is there would always be somebody that would just go deep, and when a play broke, inevitably there's a good probability that the defense has a brain fart. Is you're like, oh man, this is not going how we expected to. A safety forgets about a guy that goes over the top and starts to come down to help somewhere else. And then there's a wide open guy. So you have somebody come back to be a safety valve. Somebody just keep running their route, and somebody that goes deep and breaks off their route, no matter what it is, and just goes deep to try to get behind the coverage. You've got to be better about how you deal with when inevitably. I mean, it's not like this is Jared Goff back there where he's not going to be breaking those. This is Caleb Williams. He's absolutely going to have multiple times in a game where he breaks a sack tackle and rolls out and makes a throw. Like it's just going to happen. Be better prepared for it. Like that's where you want to talk about big strikes. That should be where you focus on, because if you have a guy that just goes deep or two guys that go deep, like whatever their route is, break it off and just go deep. And Caleb Williams just chucks it down the field. Like, you know what a backbreaker that is? That you're like, man, we had a sack for an 8-yard loss and he was like a ghost and avoided it and ended up throwing a 70-yard touchdown pass. Like,
Oh
you know what
yeah.
a backbreaker that is?
We saw again, you referenced Rodgers in Green Bay. We saw that how many times him do that to every team he played?
And the wild part is it wasn't like, oh, a random guy that you didn't have your eye on. It would be like Devontae Adams.
Sure.
Why is Devontae Adams standing when you're watching the television screen, the only player on the television screen? How does that happen?
Right.
And you're like, you should be able to do that. You should be able to recreate that. And one more thing I want to say about the offense that was frustrating is you scored that touchdown. You went up 7-0. You were dominating that first quarter. When you got that ball back after you scored the touchdown, you have got to start being more aggressive.
I agree.
Going for the jugular. Don't let off the gas. Put it on them, because you saw what happens when you let the team hang around is they quickly went and got a 2-for-1 at the end of the half, scored a field goal, which, you're lucky it wasn't a touchdown, and then come back when the ball in the second half and get a touchdown. And then you're down when you dominated that first quarter. Just go down and don't let off. Go be aggressive. Get more points. It's okay to go up 14 to nothing. It's really okay.
Yeah, it is.
And that's what you need to do to start winning against good teams is don't let off because they're gonna counterpunch and you've got to be ready for it. So score every chance you get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You knew that when they didn't make it 14 nothing or at least 10 nothing, you kind of had that, oh God, here we go again. That's the first quarter you feel like you should have dominated. You let them hang around. I agree. That was very, very frustrating. This kind of leads into another topic with the special teams. I know it was breezy and cold and snowy. We punted from the 37. What does that tell you about Cairo Santos right now?
I have a note on my cheat sheet of stuff to talk about. I wrote upgrade kicker and kick returner.
Yeah.
Is Cairo Santos. He might be a nice guy. He might be an accurate kicker. You can't trust his leg, and you kick in Soldier Field, and your dome is not going to be ready in time to be anything meaningful to Cairo Santos. Um, so yeah, you need to upgrade. You need a guy with just a cannon of a leg. You've got kickers out there that are kicking 68-yard field goals.
Yeah, the new record. The what was it? The Jaguars kicker?
Yeah,
And he had yards to spare on that one,
yeah.
man.
68. So essentially, if you can have a kicker that kicks 68-yard field goals, you only need to get it to the 50-yard line.
Hmm.
You can so like let me put it this way. If the other team kicks the kickoff out of bounds and you pick up one first down, you're in field goal range. Do you know what a weapon that is?
Yeah, makes it can make a big difference.
Yeah. And then, I agree with you, but in special teams as well, Devin Duvernay is receives the kicks and punts and looks scared. He pussyfoots as soon as he gets near somebody that's going to hit him. He dances towards the line. There's absolutely zero chance he's going to break one off.
No, I know. It's like he's running in slow motion, it looks like almost in those situations. And even today, props to Cairo Santos for being able to kick a lot of those balls into the end zone because they had it. What was it? One of their returns was like it looked just like last week where you're like, oh God, here you go again. So it wasn't nearly as awful as it was last week, but there were still a lot of special teams moments where you're like, oh boy.
The Bears, I
Luckily, the Giants' special teams was not very good.
yeah, I think you're going to see the Bears more and more kick into the end zone and just deal with the extra yardage because they don't want to risk another return like the Bengals.
No, I mean it's better to pick up from a modern day touchback than a lot of these other situations where they're bringing it to the 40, the 45, or right at midfield.
And you're right about the Giants that we lucked out. Their punter just shanked that one. Um, I still think the way that Caleb was playing in that fourth quarter, he would have at least got us in the field goal range. But uh,
Made
the
it easier.
it made everything so much easier when he had like a 25-yard punt. When they needed him bad.
Well, and that's kind of like a oh shit moment for the Giants. That just puts more pressure on them.
Yeah, when you're Caleb or you're Ben Johnson and you're like, oh man, we've got it at like good field position with 2.5 minutes and three timeouts. We have all day,
Hmm.
and they didn't use up enough time. Like had that been Jackson Dart, I'd have been nervous. I wasn't nervous at all with Russell Wilson. I knew he wasn't going to do anything. But had Jackson Dart still been in there, I'd have been a little nervous that he was going to go drive down the field and get a touchdown.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, let's see. Oh, Caleb Williams with today's win has tied the Bears single season record for most fourth quarter comeback victories in a Chicago Bears season.
That's crazy. And hey,
Yes.
they exceeded last year's win total too today.
Yeah. And Caleb Williams is on pace to break 4,000 yards this season. And if you look at his past 17 games, he has exceeded 4,000 yards.
Hmm.
So in his last, a complete regular season worth of games, he has over 4,000 yards.
There you go.
But this defense is something else.
Yeah, this is concerning because your schedule is about to get a lot more serious and oh boy. Oh
Uh,
boy.
I mean, I don't think you're the weird part is like I don't know what's happening because like the linebackers for the most part are fine. I mean, it's definitely a drop off when TJ Edwards is not there, but the linebackers are fine. And
Although I don't like Noah Sewell in coverage.
no, and he really missed the tackle today.
Oh yeah, the big one. Yeah, that should have been like a what, like a 5 yard loss?
Yeah, that would have forced a punt. Instead,
Hmm.
it was a huge pickup. That was bad. But for the most part, the linebackers are fine. I mean, they're significantly better when TJ Edwards is there.
Tremaine Edmonds is playing pretty well this year.
Yes, he is. He's absolutely. Um, and Ruben Hippolyte is hurt. Um, but the defensive line, I think Montez Sweat is playing a lot better.
He is.
Austin Booker looked pretty good.
Hmm.
Um, your defensive tackles, I thought looked good, really good today. Um, it's it just I don't know what's happening with your cornerbacks. Like they're just is it that they're that bad? Is it the scheme? I have no idea what's happening because they're just like they can't stop anybody.
No, it was another rough one for Tyreek Stevenson. I know last week it's like okay, he was injured, he had a shoulder injury, he's back obviously, and maybe he needs a week or two to get back into it. But you saw him get burned a few times. Uh, I just the secondary could get picked apart really, really easily. Though props to Brisker for that breakup in the end zone because that was big. But you know what else was frustrating was Wright should have had a pick in the end zone, and that was dropped. Now, give a little credit to the Giants wide receiver. He did make a nice play to try to help punch it loose, but that's when you really want to come down with.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I think CJ Gardner Johnson was a massive pickup from a guy sitting on his couch.
Hmm.
And he's a guy that as Bears fans, we hated his guts. And now he's comes here and he gets a game ball this week
Hmm.
and is playing well. And it's a guy that's still, I mean, he's familiar with the coaches and this system, but he's still learning what, his role is here. Um, the hope is that we can get Kyler Gordon back and and maybe even Jalen Johnson.
Nah, I'm not holding out hope for that.
We'll
But you
see.
don't know. You don't know for sure.
But Kyler Gordon hopefully is back. What this is, he's halfway through his mandatory 4 games out. Um,
So you got a road game against the Vikings and then Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers after that.
that one is really scaring me.
Honestly, even after today, I'm worried about that Vikings game. I'm worried about that one. I could totally see JJ McCarthy having a field day.
Yeah, after today, what you saw with Jackson Dart. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not very confident in that game next week.
I think we'll see a better showing of the Bears offense than we did in that first Vikings matchup. Um,
Hopefully.
hopefully. I mean, it might end up having to be something like the Bengals win where you just got to keep pouring the points on.
I struggle seeing them stopping JJ McCarthy. And I think that you can look at the last few games and you see what even some of the less mobile guys. I mean, look at what Joe Flacco did to you. 470 yards, and he can't move for shit. And then you see what Jackson Dart was hitting every wide open guy and then running, and that caused even more issues. It's a little worrisome going forward, and it's a reason why right now, again, lot can change. I'm still not counting on them making the playoffs. I just don't think this defense is good enough. But maybe if you get healthier down the road and you keep advancing on offense, I mean, listen, the reality is you can't rely on winning games like this forever. You just can't.
No, you can't. I mean, uh, it's just it's not sustainable. But the fight, yeah. I mean, keeping never giving up and keep fighting, like yeah, that's. But
It's a great culture builder, and it
yes,
gives them the belief that they can win any game, any matchup. And listen, nobody is going to complain about these comeback wins. It's just the fact that you're going to play some significantly better teams going forward, and you can't have the first halves like you had today. You can't have the defensive breakdowns like you've had over the past few weeks. You're simply, if you play like that against the Steelers, you are going to get blown out. If you play like that next week against the Vikings, you are going to have a rough time. And then you start talking about, okay, you got Philly, you got Green Bay twice. I mean, this schedule is going to turn into an absolute gauntlet. And I'm not saying you can't win any of those games, but you're going to have to find a way to tighten up defensively, clean up some of the bad spots, because the manageable part of your schedule, it's basically over for the rest of the year. Now,
I mean,
I'm
you got the
thought
Browns. You got the Browns
you do,
who
but
lost
that's
to the Jets today.
yes,
They
you do
lost to
have
a Jets team where Justin Fields. Did you look at Justin Fields' stat line today?
54 passing yards. Yes.
And 42 of them came on one pass, a
Yeah.
screen pass.
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty wild. But
Yeah.
that sandwich in between a lot of bigger games.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you start looking through here and you're like, yeah, it's a gauntlet. And you've got to pick out key games where you're like, okay, like you got to win this one because you're not going to win this one. Next week is one of those games. Like, if you want any shot at a postseason, you'd better win one of the next two games, if not both.
I think you have to win both. Right now, I think you have to win both. And I just don't know if they're going to. You never
They're
know,
not, yeah, they're, and
but
I mean, I don't think they're going to, but okay, so you're not going to beat the Eagles. Like that's going to be a loss. You're probably losing both to the Packers.
maybe they win one. I
Not
know
with
it's I know.
not with this the way these cornerbacks are playing.
I
Like,
know.
all right, maybe if Jalen Johnson comes back for that one at the end of the year. All right, maybe. Um, all right, then you better beat the Browns and you'd better beat the 49ers because you're not beating the Lions.
Well, the Lions might have everything clinched by then.
I don't know. Depends on how. I mean,
Maybe. I'm not,
I mean,
maybe.
maybe if it's one of those, I don't think they'll have everything clinched, but maybe it's one of those things where they can't move no matter what. Like
Right.
all right, they can't catch the Packers, and if they lose, they don't lose a spot in the postseason. All right, maybe they rest players um, but the 49ers look vulnerable.
They
They
do.
got smoked today.
They do. I mean, again, you look at the injuries on that team, and some of your top guys are starting to age out a little bit, and there's a lot of chinks in that armor. Chinks where you can actually see the buttocks sometimes of the 49ers. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing is if you're able to win three more games, if you just win three more games the rest of the year, you're at 9 wins.
Yeah. And you look and you're like, okay, the Browns is a must win. Like that is a must. You
Yeah,
cannot lose that game.
right.
Like, all right, so that let's say you win that. And nothing's guaranteed. Who knows what happens? But that's a one win. All right, so then you got to find two more. So the Vikings is probably your best next best chance.
And that's not going to be easy,
No,
man.
it is not. The Steelers is probably one of your better chances because they're not they're not a bad team. But they're not a great team either.
You can get to that defense and you are at home.
Yeah.
And as
Um,
great as Aaron Rodgers is, as much as he just absolutely destroys us, he's also not quite the same Aaron Rodgers as he was in years past.
you don't worry about him doing what Jackson Dart did to you today.
No, no. Though I still worry about that secondary versus him, the pick apart. But like you say, he's not going to take off like he once could.
So all right, let's just best case scenario. I mean, not going to happen, but best case scenario is you beat the Vikings, Steelers, and Browns. That
Hmm.
gets you at 9 wins.
Hmm.
Then it's like, okay, at that point, like we're playing with house money. You've got the Eagles, Packers twice, 49ers, and the Lions. Can you eke out one more win out of that? It's the NFL. Anything can happen. But I mean, this is just I mean, if you tell me that they win one game the rest of the season, I would not be shocked.
I really hope that's not the
Oh,
case,
I
but
hope not either. Ben Johnson would yank all of his hair out. Um, I th- but I mean, this is a tough run.
it's very, very
You
tough.
already lost to the Vikings. Aaron Aaron Rodgers has your number,
Hmm.
and the Steelers they're tough to beat. The Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFC and have to be one of the favorites for the Super Bowl. The Packers are just your nemesis that has your number, and you got them twice. The Browns are the Browns. Uh, the 49ers are a perennial playoff team, and they're well coached. Like that's not an easy game. And then the Lions, who just already just pantsed you this year.
Hmm. Right. So, and again, I like to try to be the guy of, hey, you can only think about your next matchup because it's a week to week
Yep.
league. I mean, did you see what the Dolphins did to the Bills today?
Yes, that was wild. Wild.
It's
Um,
funny, as good as the Bills are, they've lost some really head scratching games this
but
year.
they've won some good ones.
Of
They beat
course,
they beat the Ravens when the Ravens were fully healthy and playing out with all cylinders clicking in
they
that
did.
shootout. They beat the Chiefs.
Well,
Um,
yeah, they always beat the Chiefs in the regular season.
but I mean, it's still like that's
Still, yeah, no, I get it.
um, and then you got to look though at so if you want to look just at the next game, you've got oh my God, look, did you know what the score is in the Steelers Chargers game right now?
What is it?
It's a baseball score, 3-2.
Ha!
Uh, but yeah, you look at the Vikings, and they got smoked today. And JJ McCarthy didn't have a great game. I mean, he threw for a lot of yards, but um, uh, his quarterback rating was pretty low. It was 54.5. He had two interceptions, um, and under 50% completion percentage.
I worry about what like you mentioned what Jackson Dart did today. That's what I'm worried about happening next week.
He ran for 48 yards today, including a 26 yarder. That scares me. I think they're going to have to do something where they have a spy.
Yeah.
Maybe TJ Edwards is back. which would be helpful, I think.
Well, I know the outlook on TJ Edwards is fairly positive, even though he had the surgery on the hand or whatever it was. So hopefully he's back.
Um, oh, you know what's two I wanted to talk about with the Bears is after last week's game where the Bears just put up record numbers of yards and everybody was in on the action. Roma Dunze got shut out. And Roma Dunze's dad was beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this too. Yeah.
And so immediately Roma Dunze gets in the offense early. And after the game, they asked him, he's like, thanks, Dad. Um, I just wish his dad would shut up.
I know, and you read that stuff, and it's like, listen, I get you want the best for your boy, and you want to argue against people saying he's not good, by all means. But to quote somebody about wanting him traded and putting a pin in it, come on, that is just immature and stupid.
Yep. It's one thing if the guy was just catching everything and the Bears were losing and they weren't utilizing him enough. All right, I get that's frustrating. But the Bears are the Bears are winning games and
You're one of the
Roman
better offenses, and he's the
and
number one targeted guy.
but your kid is dropping catchable balls.
Oh, that too.
And he's not, you know, out bodying anybody to win these 50-50 balls. Like, so that's uh that's a concern. Like, so it's not a situation where the Bears are failing your kid. And I'm not saying it's a situation where he's failing the Bears, but he was the number 9 overall pick. I want to see more from Roma Dunze.
Yeah, and I mean, the overall numbers are good, and you saw how incredible he was blocking last week.
Yes,
He's a
no,
he's a
he is a good blocker.
he's a great part of this offense. He is constantly being used in this offense. So he's the number one target. He's being used all the time. Yes, he's got to clean up some of the drops, but this isn't a Matt Nagy or an Eberflus era situation, and it's just really stupid to see that. And guess what? Credit to Roma Dunze. Did you see his response on being questioned about that earlier this week?
No, I didn't.
It was as professional of a response as you can get. Like, you have to watch it. Like, you could not have handled it any better if you were Roma Dunze. The maturity he
Yeah,
has and the intelligence he has is off the charts.
yeah, I think he's a good kid. Like, I like him and he's a team player and yeah, his blocking's great and it's been a huge part of this Bears team doing well. Um, you've you've just got to work on him being able to win some of those 50-50 balls and get him out there on the jugs machine and catching everything.
Jugs.
Um, the other thing I want to talk about is the trade deadline came and passed,
Uh-huh.
and the Bears really didn't do anything.
Well, there's a big, kind of obvious story behind this, in my opinion.
So they made one trade.
They did.
They traded for an edge rusher from the Browns, but it wasn't the good one.
No, no, no. Oh, a trade with the Browns. Oh, an edge rusher. Oh, that's not Miles Garrett.
No, no, it was Joe Tryon Shoyinka, who they traded a 6th round pick and got the player and a 7th round back. So essentially, they traded the equivalent of a 7th round, like an early 7th round pick.
They got a body.
They got a guy because Dio Dengbo is out for the year and
What
Dominique Robinson is still injured. Maybe he'll be back soon, but you needed a body.
what a disaster that die. I never understood that one, man. I'm not saying him getting hurt is their fault, but he wasn't producing.
No, he was not. He was not. Um, but yeah, the Bears just didn't do anything. Um, I thought they would bring in another. I mean, so the rumor is Asante Samuel Jr. um is coming back from injury. He's a free agent,
Mm-hmm.
and that the Bears are the Bears have been sniffing around. And okay, I'm not, you know, beyond that because you need bodies. You need cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, CJ Gardner Johnson was a good pickup, but not enough. You need more.
Yeah, you bring in another experienced dude. Obviously they're doing tryouts. A number of teams are looking at him, so not saying they're going to get him, but I would be okay with it if that was the route they went.
Yeah, so hopefully they do something. Um, I get not wanting to part with draft capital, but at some point it's ridiculous, and you gotta make moves to shore up this team.
With that said, though, here's what I wanted to talk about with that. Did you see the quotes from Ryan Poles?
Um, no.
Basically saying how, sometimes you get caught up and you get tunnel vision and somebody kind of has to bring you back. It sounded like Ben Johnson was going to him saying, don't overreach for anything here. That he didn't want resources going forward being dumped into something that would be an overpay. Now,
Uh,
whether you agree with it or not, you know what that says to me? It says to me that Ben Johnson is the guy. Like this is his team.
I hope so.
I
I
hope
hope
so.
so.
That's how I want it to be.
I'm hopeful for the 2026 draft because Ben Johnson will have been here. He will have know all these players. He will know where the weaknesses are and the type of players that he wants and the type of practice, and he's going to be more involved. I'm not saying he wasn't involved in last year, but it just when you come aboard just a couple months before the draft, you're still trying to learn, where your office is and who your current players are under contract. You're you might have some input here, but you don't have as much input.
Right. So I thought that was pretty telling. And you know what? I I floated ideas out there last week on this show. But when trade deadline day came, I was thinking, you know what? I don't expect much. And there's one thing I always kind of think too is don't think of it the same way as the baseball trade deadline. It's just not that. You see a few blockbusters, but it's not like you see in baseball. It just isn't. The big blockbuster this year was Sauce Gardner to the Colts. But you didn't see a ton of big blockbusters because there are plenty of players on other teams that could theoretically be moved for more capital, but there is the reality that football has a cap, unlike baseball, and dead cap is a big factor in a lot of these things.
Asante Samuel is going to be visiting the Bears on Tuesday
Okay.
for what it's worth.
FWIW.
Um, yeah. But I mean, I'm hopeful that Ben Johnson. I don't want a coach that's also the GM, but I want a coach that has a lot of influence over the GM. Is
What if Ryan Poles falls asleep at his desk and to give everybody like the indication that he's in charge, Ben Johnson just attaches puppet strings to him and like walks him around.
uh yeah, but I want a GM that is just going to be like, oh, hey, my coach said he needs this type of player, and you know this type of player, and we need help here. All right, let me go do it. And then balance the cap and et cetera, and manage the scouts. Like, all right, cool, that's your job. Football things are Ben Johnson.
Yeah, the vision of this team is Ben Johnson.
Ben fucking Johnson. And when that man does his post game pressers, or I mean, not pressers, his the locker room speeches, like inject that into my veins
I look forward
directly.
after every win, I look forward to it. Like I eagerly look forward to that speech. The good, better, best at the end.
Oh my God, when he drops the good, better, best, I, like it's one of those things that you would expect Dan Bernstein to puke about as corny, um, but it works. It's not a stupid acronym. But whatever it is that chant just makes you want to run through a wall.
Exactly. This chant is not, past corniness that we've seen before. This is much more like the prime Matt Nagy 2018 Club Dub. Like that was great stuff. Club Dub was awesome. The whole boom thing, like that was good. And then, obviously everything soured, but you know, you've seen that side by side video, right? Of Matt Eberflus's victory speech and then Ben Johnson's.
Yes.
Like Matt Eberflus sounds like he's giving a presentation at an office, like on a PowerPoint. And then he breaks out the foundation. That's what we build. It's the foundation. Like all this corny shit. Today, Ben Johnson's like, I don't know what else to tell you fuckers. It's awesome.
Just think of how far we've come from the stupid hits principle.
We play by the hits principle. HIT, which means the ball. Shouldn't it be hits bzz, hits principle, the ball. I mean, the hits principle, in theory, it makes sense. It's good, but it's like, ugh.
Like it's one thing if you're like, hey, you know what? It's something I live by is I want players that hustle, they have intensity, they take the ball away and they're situationally smart. That's really what I
Yes,
look for. Okay, that's
yes,
fine.
yes,
Like
yes.
even if you have a dumb acronym for it, but when you start quoting it as like your hype thing, like, oh my God, and the dumb nicknames, everything he did, like if you're winning, you tolerate it, but when you're not winning, like that just nails on a chalkboard.
Well, you weren't winning, so
Yeah.
ever.
I know like uh people are, oh, Bears are 4-2, and after when last year when they were 4-2, they lost 10 in a row. And you know what? They haven't lost 10 in a row. This is a different team. This is a different team.
Like, I like that the fact that our coach like is more likely to tear your face off and eat it like filet mignon than he is to give some high school level rah-rah speech.
Ben Johnson came out today in a hoodie
Hmm.
on the sideline in a hoodie. Did you go out today? It was cold this morning.
It was cold because after every Bears game, I always go for a walk. Every afternoon game, I always go on a walk after the game. As soon as it ends and I get some final thoughts out, I go for like an hour and a half walk. It was cold. I actually brought my winter jacket out for the first time in a long time.
This morning, I was like, oh man, it snowed. I better get our Halloween decorations put away. Um,
Mhm.
and I had to go inside and get gloves because my hands were too cold.
Did you
Uh,
put your Greedo hands on?
I should have. But Ben Johnson was out there and wasn't shivering. He just that man is the hate was fueling him and just keeping him warm.
Oh yeah, the fieriness inside of them. You could probably bake something inside of them. It makes me laugh when I see some of like the screen captures of Ben Johnson and he just looks like a complete psycho killer.
You know what's hilarious is he's as emotionless as Lovey Smith, but it's a different emotion.
Oh, it's completely different. Lovey was just the blank stare
It was a
where
blank stare, and Ben Johnson just looks like he is ready to murder you. And it's just like, oh yeah, that fire burns deep. Is like, if you want to bake these cookies, don't put them in Ben Johnson too long because they'll burn.
His torso just opens up like an oven and it's just fried. Oh, my
He
cookies.
just lifts up his sweatshirt and just puts the cookies there, and then you're like, I think the cookies are done. Like they've only been in 3 minutes in Ben Johnson.
And you look up and he's got that crazy eye look at you. Oh man, could you imagine a kitchen where it's the Marty Havlat crock pot next to the Ben Johnson oven?
I'm just waiting for Ben Johnson to develop a tick at some point in the season where it's just eyes just twitching.
Oh yeah, I could imagine that it's probably happened before. We just haven't seen it, but I want to see it happen on camera.
Uh, we should probably move on to other sports here. What do you want to talk next?
Hey, how about those Blackhawks, man? How about Connor Bedard leading the league in scoring? How about them going on a complicated and tough road trip and showing signs of life? How about going into Detroit and beating the everlasting hell out of them today?
They put belt to ass today. Connor Bedard is a stud.
He's growing into his own. He's assisting on almost every goal. He had 4 assists in a Patrick Kane-like goal when they belt to ass the Calgary Flames. And listen, Calgary is far and away not the best team that you played on that trip. But you know what? Being on a long road trip on the West Coast in Northern Canada is tough. And you had to go through a lot of tough teams to get there first. I mean, you had to play the Jets, who just show that they're an established team, even though I thought you played them pretty well. You had to go to Vancouver, which you finally won a game there for the first time in a long time, and you had to go through Edmonton, who you got a point against. So your last few games on this road trip, you beat down on the Canucks, who have been a good team. You beat down on the Calgary Flames. You beat down on Detroit. You got a point in Edmonton. Really impressive stretch there. The only game that wasn't really that good was what? When they were in, what was it, Utah?
The uh the Seattle.
Seattle, not Utah,
Yeah,
Seattle.
that I
The
mean
Kraken.
the Oilers you lost, but that was an overtime loss. Uh,
I mean, when you got Draisaitl and McDavid in their primes out there, that's
yeah. Um so I'm sure you've seen the graphic, but Patrick Kane versus Connor Bedard in their first 164 games in the NHL.
mm-hmm.
Connor Bedard has more goals.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Kane had more assists. Identical points, 146 to 146. Identical game-winning goals, 8-8. Patrick Kane is probably the greatest American-born player in the history of the NHL,
Correct.
and Connor Bedard is and the thing is Connor Bedard's trajectory is growing at an exponential rate.
Mm-hmm.
Because early on, there were times where you're like, did he doesn't look bad, but did we get a bad sale of goods? Like, is he not the generational player that we were told he was going to be? And he's like, okay. I mean, for his age, he's good, but is he going to get better? And this season, he has just exploded.
Right. And, it's easy to look at like Connor Bedard's first year or two and you think, well, it's good, but remember what Sidney Crosby did and remember what Alex Ovechkin, who just scored his 900th goal, by the way, and, like Mario Lemieux and whatever. But yeah, I mean, right now, you're looking at the trajectory and it's looking a lot closer to that. And yeah, keep in mind, too, the first year, Bedard, that team was awful.
Yep.
The team was deep, deep, deep in a teardown. And now some of these young kids are coming up. You see him and Nazar playing. Ali Moore is up. He got his first goal today, so big congratulations to him. And
Ollie
then,
Moore looks fast.
Oh, he is, you want to talk about barn burner. He is quick. That team
Yeah.
has got speed now.
And I'm gonna admit that I was not in love with the Blashill hiring. And I still don't know if he's ultimately gonna be the dude, but the young players are playing really well.
They're playing well, and you're really seeing them, I think, you're seeing them play more as a team. And what I mean by that is, I felt like last year there were times where Bedard would get run over, someone would get hurt, and like Nick Foligno would step in, but you wouldn't really see the coaches or much else take much action. You remember when Frank Nazar got hurt in the game against Calgary, and
Yeah.
then you have Doc going after people, and then who else got? But remember, there were multiple scuffles after that trying to protect their player. I think that says a lot about team chemistry.
Oh, absolutely.
We also can't fail to mention Spencer Knight. Boy, does he look good. Right now, he's like statistically the best goaltender in the league. Even
He
Otter
looks,
Soderblom today had a great game.
yeah. Um, just like the Blackhawks are playing well. Uh, I mean, it's I don't know if you can project this out over the whole season, but this is they're playing really good hockey and it's not fluky either. You got young defensemen that are playing well. You're scoring goals. Um, and there's still some hiccups here and there, but you're working through those. And some of those are, you look at um your one defenseman who had the awful turnover the other day and learn from it. Okay, you're learning from your mistakes,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, and you're seeing the potential start to materialize into actual production.
With all the young guys we talk about, Bedard and Doc and Nazar, Ollie Moore, Ryan Green, even, and then Levishnov, who's looking better and better by the game. 2 assists today. As promising as those guys look, even like Sam Rinzel, Alex Vlasic, you look at some of the veterans they have, and boy, Tyler Bertuzzi is red hot right now.
Yeah, he really is.
And I know Tyler Bertuzzi, he's kind of Ian Happish, where sometimes he's on absolute fire and then he goes just completely cold for a while, but then he'll always like finish with virtually the same stats every year. But I think Tyler Bertuzzi has been really good this year so far in helping some of these guys grow. I mean, look at the game against Vancouver. It was a nothing game going to the third, and he scores a hat trick. He scores a freaking hat trick, and it wakes everything up, and you help win that game.
Yeah, so the Blackhawks, it sucked that their game was on during the Bears game. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
that was frustrating, but they've been so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and my dad and I, we do our annual game together. We're going next Saturday against Toronto.
Oh, that should be fun.
Yeah, that'll be interesting because you're playing an elite team, and I believe, oh, there's a bobblehead that night. So my dad is telling me he's like, "Hey, let's try to get there early so we could get the bobblehead." Is it Tony O? They got some bobblehead giveaway, so we're gonna try to get that.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Yeah, I think it's Tony O. I could be wrong, but we'll see. Either way, we know there's a bobblehead giveaway, and we're gonna try to get it.
Yeah, hopefully that's a good game. Hopefully they win.
Yeah, we'll see. Toronto's gonna be tough, man.
Um, the other team in Chicago that's playing well is the Bulls. Little bit of sorcery and wizardry that's holding them together, and they've lost back-to-back games now. But
Tough one in Cleveland. You
yeah,
had that one. You had that one the final minute and it slipped away. But I think that's where it shows, hey, Josh Giddey looks like a dude. Matis Buzelis looks like a dude. But when you got like a superstar like Donovan Mitchell in moments like that, it can make a big difference.
yeah, the same with the loss to Milwaukee is is Giannis was superstarred you.
Yes. And not only with his skill and his talent, but not to be that guy, 'cause, I think they would have lost either way. But I didn't see the game live. I only saw the highlights and I saw some of the commentary. It's hard when you have stars that are going to get the benefit of the doubt, if you know what I mean, on certain plays. If you catch my drift.
Oh, absolutely. But is this team for real? Um, I don't think they're as good as their record is early on,
I don't either.
but they, I don't see them the way they're playing. I think is they can maintain and they can win those winnable games.
Yeah.
I just don't think that they can sustain against top talented teams. Um, and I don't know if this style of play will get you deep in the playoffs, but the way they're playing, they absolutely should be, you know, in the playoffs, not hunting for a play in.
What I like about the Bulls, like for example, that epic 24-point comeback against the Sixers is they were kind of taking your lunch money through much of it. But what was cool was they were able to kind of wear them out. And by the end of the fourth quarter, they were so tired, they couldn't make a shot to save their life. Like you could just tell like they were gassed. And those are the kinds of things we can see the Bulls do where you're able to slow down a team that is on an absolute roll by wearing other teams out. And I think that can work a number of times, but it's not always going to because there are going to be times where the superstar is just going to overcome you. And I think Josh Giddey is playing at an all-star level. I'm not going to say superstar, and I'm going to say the same thing about Montes Buzelis. You have legit dudes, but then there's that whole other level. There is the absolute superstar. There is the Giannis, the Curry, the in-prime LeBron. Like, they don't have quite that.
Right. It's just, yeah, you just don't have like that superstar to carry you and when you need it. And and it's pretty much what they said they wanted to build because they didn't have a path to get a superstar. Is all right, let's get a good team. And we've seen the last couple years where that's actually not been a bad option. Um, hopefully when Kobe White comes back, which should be soon, um, is is that gives them another added scorer to help because
Right.
the bench has been great.
It has.
They
It's done a good job.
when the bench comes in, they continue to score.
Yeah. Yeah, you give a lot of credit to guys like Jones and some of those other guys that come out here. I really like Herter. I like that guy.
Yeah, I mean he's playing really well. Um, so it is not a I don't think they're elite by any stretch, but I mean, are they uh what are they right now? The third best record in the Eastern Conference? Are they the third best team in the Eastern Conference? Um, no. But you look at the other teams and you're like, okay, well, they kicked the shit out of the Knicks once, but then they got their ass kicked by the Knicks.
Hmm.
Um, they played they played tough with the Cavs. Didn't they already beat the Pistons?
Yes, opening night.
Yeah, they beat the Pistons, they beat the Sixers. Um, I mean, I think there's a tall. I don't think there's like a team that's like super elite in the East right now. Um, I mean, so maybe they could just hang around and be one of those in the bunch to be a top six team in the conference. I think that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, they don't have a Thunder, they don't have a Spurs, um, or Nuggets. Like they're the East is a little bit more manageable. It's all you need to do is just beat the teams in your conference.
Correct.
Uh, should we wrap this up talking a little Cubs?
Yeah, we'll get to the topic that I know you wanted to discuss.
Um, so the Cubs made a move. I Is it surprising? Probably not, but it still surprised me a little bit. They declined the option on Shota Imanaga. Um, and then obviously they made the smart move of giving him the qualified offer of 1 year, $22 million. Um, you needed Shota to be better than he was last year.
Correct.
And at the end of the year, he was not good enough to, especially at the very end, you weren't confident him being a starter in the postseason.
You had to not start him in a deciding take all game 5 on the road. You had to go with a bullpen day over that.
Yeah. So, um, not shocking. I mean, when you're academic about it, but he's a player that fans liked.
Oh, yes. And much of his tenure has been very, very good. You also saw where after year 1, when he was an all-star, you saw the talent, but you also saw the areas where there were some weaknesses. You knew that fly balls were always going to be a thing. You knew that home runs were always going to be a thing, and that there was probably going to be some regression in the second year. And we saw that, but it was so drastic at the end.
Yeah, because you can live with. I mean, to be honest with you, is um uh Hendricks, when like he was susceptible to the long ball, but when it happened, it was the 1 run solo shot. Like, okay, I can live with that. I can live with a solo shot. Um, and for Shota, it started becoming more frequent than that, and with runners on, and he didn't have enough swing and miss stuff. He didn't have the heat that you needed. You saw the velocity drop this year.
Hmm.
It picked back up a little bit, but for a while that velocity dropped way lower than you wanted to. Um, and now you've got him you with the qualifying offer. I wonder if he takes it.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is if they would have gone with that 3-year deal, the option, it would have been filled with no trade clauses. So that's a big thing. And
Hmm.
then Shota, uh, Shota's got how long to decide? I don't remember the exact amount, but um,
Uh, I don't know.
most qualifying offers aren't accepted, but this is one that very well could be accepted. If he decides to bet on himself and try to seek a longer deal. But if you get a 1-year deal, 22 million, 22 million is pretty good for a starter, a pretty good value these days. Um, Providing that they give you health innings and pitch at least solid ball. Giving you 27 plus starts and going 5, 6, 7 innings in most of your starts. $22 million a year these days is good value. but I don't want to kick him to the curb. So if he comes back on that kind of a deal, okay. If he doesn't, then I can pivot. I can be comfortable with pivoting. I don't want him to necessarily go, but
Well,
I
even if
think
he
you can
declines
fix
the
it
qualifying offer, there's nothing saying that they can't sign him to another deal. Like,
potentially, but will they?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he's looking for. But he has until 3 p.m. on November 18th.
Okay, there you go.
Last year was November 6th. So the deadline passed for last year, but there's an extra couple weeks there this year. Um, so I wonder, I mean, that's the good part about having a good agent is you have an idea of what the market will be for you. I mean, obviously nobody can tell the future, but you have an idea like, hey, we don't think that's a good idea. Or if they say like, you know what, the way you played, you know, you're not going to get the like a long-term deal where with high value, it's going to be a 1 year prove it deal. Might as well stay with a team in a city that you like. And you might not get $22 million from somebody else. It might be 1 year 15, 1 year 18. Um, so I would say there's better than a 50-50 shot that he's back.
I would agree.
I don't think it's terribly much more than the 50%, but I would say 50, 55% he's back.
That's where I'm at.
And at that money, okay, I'm fine with that. It's not a long-term deal. Um, and it you could trade him if you wanted to.
Right.
But then you also gave the qualifying offer to Kyle Tucker, and that one just seems like
Nah.
that one just. I mean, he's obviously 100% going to decline that.
Right.
Um, Even if he were to take a 1 year deal, it's going to be worth more than $22 million. Um,
Correct.
so there's 0% chance the Cubs are just doing that to extract value from it. If and when he signs somewhere else. Um, I I am now safely and comfortably saying that the Cubs will not sign Kyle Tucker.
Oh yeah, I'm not counting on it. Right now, I'm absolutely not counting on it.
I mean, I would be so beyond shocked. Like I would be Bears traded for Jay Cutler shocked.
That's
Or
fair.
Bears traded for Khalil Mack shocked. Like that might even be more shocked than that. Um
Honestly, me too.
like it would be, you know what it would be? Michael Jordan coming back shocked. Like when the
Which
facts came
time?
through. Then what? No, when the facts.
Okay, so the first time.
Yes, like that level. Oh my God! Like that's where I would be. Um,
Is that the exact noise you made?
yes. Um, so yeah, Kyle Tucker is gone, and they're going to use the money that they would use for him for starting pitching, or at least attempt. I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Because they're being connected to a lot of bigger arms out there. So
Yeah, they need a guy that has swing and miss stuff.
they do. And you know what? On a later show, I would love to go in more detail about that.
Yeah, I mean I mean it is November 9th. I just took down the Halloween decorations today.
We haven't even gotten to the winter meetings.
Yeah, I mean we're about to hit winter weather in Chicago, but we are not anywhere near the winter meetings. Um so I agree with you. Like I want to dive into that more. But um it's clear that they think their young players can fill the gaps in the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, whether that's Owen Casey or Kevin Alcantara, obviously you still have Moises Ballesteros, he's not an outfielder, but yeah, I mean, there's internal options. I don't know if it's going to work. You're really betting on something big happening there, but they might feel confident in that.
It is a really big risk. And we saw this year, you took that risk by not getting a veteran third baseman, and you needed more out of production out of your third base from the bat. Like Matt
Right.
Shaw was fantastic fielding third baseman, and towards the end of the year, like the bat was a lot better, but overall, you needed significantly more production from the third base position.
It's hard to project what he's going to be.
But you took that big gamble this year, and I don't think you necessarily won that gamble. And now you're going to do it multiple times next year because you're going to do it again at third base. You're going to do it for uh your corner outfield spot. Um, and what are you going to do long term at first base? You going to sign Michael Bush?
You have to.
So I don't know what, you're taking a lot of risk here, and you've got quite a bit of money to spend. And you're not going to get multiple superstar pitchers. Maybe you get one of the top guys.
Yeah, I don't
Would
think
you
you're getting two. I think you'll get one of them.
would you take a risk on bringing in a Max Scherzer as a secondary piece?
It's tempting.
Maybe a Dylan Cease and a Max Scherzer along with Steele and Horton.
I I wouldn't say no to that. That's a lot more swing and miss and stuff in your rotation.
Um, and then Shota as your five.
Well, I think Tyon would be your five.
Oh, forgot Tyone. Then where does Shota fit in there? Um, I guess when
Well, it depends on.
all the time that Scherzer is going to be out when he's hurt.
Uh,
I don't know.
we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. What else did you want to talk about?
I think
You
I
don't-
pretty much said my piece. I know the only thing I have White Sox related is did you see that they're basically saying, yeah, we're not going to sign any big deals again?
Yeah, I mean that we figured that.
We figured, yeah.
I,
I'm just
I
putting it
think
out
I
there.
mean I think they will make some signings. They're just not. I mean, Naylor maybe. I mean, I guess that would be fairly significant. Um, but they're going to make some moves. I just
Of
don't think
course.
they're not going to do anything splashy. They're not going to go after any of the top 20 free agents. Um, but I think they have to spend some money here.
Correct. Well, yes, absolutely.
It,
Absolutely.
I mean, they would be stupid to not because they've got the opportunity to be a significantly better team. And they were a significantly better team at the end of the season with a lot of holes. Is plug the holes. You don't even have to plug them with superstars. Just plug some of those holes.
They plug the holes with Play-Doh.
Yeah. Are there any Cuban players that are ready to come to the MLB?
Yeah, really.
That's what they need. Keep that Cuban pipeline coming.
We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bill Swerski Sports Talk Chicago. I want to thank everybody so much for listening. Please hit subscribe however you listen to podcasts, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, etc. Share this podcast with your friends. It's how we grow the show. Follow us on social media at Swerski Sports, Facebook.com/Swerski Sports, SwerskiSports.com, or Swerski_sports_podcast on Instagram, or ShyFanPat2 for Alex on Twitter /X, or AlexanderJPatCreative.com for all the cool stuff that Alex does. And again, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, bear down.
Cubs win! What a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
We thank Ditka and God for all they have provided.
Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win!
Oh, I don't want her. You can have her. She's a Packer fan. She can't fit in my van.
And she looks like number New Yorkers. Smoking crack is not legal on planes. Bears 31 to -7. The Bears. Oh, when the Bears go bearing down.